Okay, so this is going to be a dirty style tutorial sort of instructional video for how to develop with idevSpot scripts. All idevSpot scripts use very similar, or actually a lot of the cases, the very same code library, such as the authorization script or the database query script or anything which can be used in one script and also in another script is used almost exactly every single time. I try to keep the files consistent so that every script is using the same files for, say, the authorization system or whatever the case may be, so that everything's pretty consistent. The thing is that when you're editing one particular script, idevSpot script, pretty much the same rules apply. So I'm going to actually just get started with adding a listing field to business directory here. So that from the admin panel, which is always accessed at /admin, the front end panel, if I view one of these listings, some of the form fields come up, such as website, phone, hours. Those are all found down here. External website, phone, email address, whatever. But if I wanted to add another field to this to show up here on the details page of the front end, pretty easy. To find the page that you want to edit, you just have to look at what the page is pointing to, the page URL string variable, and it will be of the same name in the admin or user end directory. So this is add listing that I've loaded up, and actually what I've done here is that's the this is just the language translation system working here. So this is calling a language file. When you're actually creating modifications, you probably won't need to worry about creating a language file, so because it's just going to be for one particular client or one particular purpose. But let's say we wanted to create a new field here. We got hours down. We got hours down here. Let's create a new one just for example. So I'm just going to copy this and call this our custom field. And the key here is the name of the form field itself. So I'm just going to call this custom. Alright, and I'm going to change the initial value of the form field to echo row custom, and the text field name to be custom. What this will do is when this form is submitted, it will create a field in the database automatically, which is called custom. And when somebody edits one of the listings for this page, it'll automatically open, or sorry, it will load the field which is called custom. So basically it's just, I'll show you what I mean here. When I add a listing, all fields are blank, but if I go to edit a listing, then it shows up what value is already in the database, and that's all that's doing there is echo row custom. And in this case it will be whatever's in the custom field. So that's all I have to do actually to add a field to the back-end part. And if I refresh the page, we have our new custom field here, and I'm just going to type in test for Kamloops Furniture Store. So if I go and I look, and I look at this again, the custom field will now say test. But if I go to the front end and I load up the Kamloops Furniture Store, the way to display it, and I probably don't need to give a demonstration for how to do this, but I will anyways, is to open up the detail page. And actually, since mod rewrite is enabled, it's not showing what page we're looking at, but if you're in development mode, you can just go to the general settings page of the admin panel and disable the search engine optimization mod rewrite features, and then when you actually look for a link, it will show the query string. And as you can see, the page here is just called detail. So if I want to edit this page, it's just detail. and all of the formatting you can see is pretty pretty logical. It opens up in Dreamweaver or whatever visual editor you like to use, and for the most part it's actually pretty much exclusively it's PHP inserts within HTML code. I don't like to put HTML within PHP myself because I feel like for formatting and structure I just have like a more fluid time editing with PHP inserts instead of the HTML, but I've seen a lot of scripts that do HTML inside the PHP code, and it doesn't really matter, but that's my preference. And the thing is, you'll find that's pretty consistent throughout the script. Anyway, so let's just show here. I want to echo out now the new custom field in there, so I'm just going to go PHP echo row custom, save and upload that, and that should now appear. Well, there, there it appears there. It's not really formatted because I just put it right there, but that's what we just typed into the custom field. So I'm just going to actually undo what I just did so I don't forget. But that's how to add a custom field. And what you'll notice this points to is the library query file, query.php, which is in the library query, library directory query file. And what this file does is a lot of the, most all of the database activity really. It creates a table if a table doesn't exist, and it inserts fields if they don't exist, and it will update them with the right sort of prompting. And actually I'll just explain how that works, because if you wanted to create an entirely new table and an entirely new section for whatever reason, what you would then do is you could create a new form, and you would point it to the query file, and if it has any images assigned to it, you'll want to have this upload equals 1 to take advantage of that. But for the most part, image uploading isn't handled via this. It's handled separately in a separate section. There's actually just a couple rare exceptions where I used image upload in the main sort of item submission section. But anyhow, what's important here is the controller field. And let me just explain how this works, because this controls all the database activity. Basically the first value, all of the values are separated by this, I don't know what this symbol is called, this little squiggly, but the different values are separated by these little squigglies. What I usually do is, actually let's just, so the first one here is the name of the table. So right now it's posting, and it will create a table called listings if the table listings does not already exist. If it does exist, then it doesn't matter, it'll just ignore it. If I typed in a different name here, then it would create a different table. This PHP echo QT stands for query type, and basically the query type options are either insert or update. So if the user is adding a brand new record, it'll be insert, which is sort of indicated up here. If empty, get QT, then QT equals insert, else QT equals get QT. And QT actually will equal update. So I'll just show you how that works. If I go to manage listings, what you'll notice when I click edit a listing is that there's a QT variable up here, and it just says update. So if I go back here, so if empty, get QT, so basically if they click add and there's just nothing up here, then it's going to be an insert query type. It'll be creating a new listings. Of course, if they click edit, then the QT variable will be update, which will edit the existing listing based on the ID number of the listing. Right, so up here we're just going to select from listings where ID equals ID. Of course, ID equals 10 up here. That's the ID number of the listing. and if it's empty, then it should be an insert. If it's not, it should be an update. So down here, if we look at the controller again, the controller field, it will just, in the second section here, second squiggly section, echo Qt, whatever that might be. Manage listings is the name of the page that the query.php file should redirect the user to after the database function is performed. So the name of this, or sorry, if I go and I add a new listing, I click submit and it returns me to manage listings. And manage listings is just the same page as this here, so they can see what they just created, this new test listing, and they can see the rest of their listings and whatever else. So where are we? Okay, this little bit here, if get clone does not equal 1, echo get ID. So basically, this is, I'm going to just ignore that part for a minute, echo get ID. So this is the section, this section here shows the update, the MySQL update function, which record in the database to update if it's an update type of query, and that'll be the whatever is in the get ID variable, which I think I've already showed is going to be ID equals 6 in this case, or whatever the case may be. This little bit that I had before it is actually just a clone feature. So if the user wants to use this little function right here, this little clone icon that will open up the listing, but actually what will happen is, you can see since it's a clone type of action, it's an insert instead of an update. So it will take all of the existing information from the cloned item and just basically make a clone of it that was edited in whatever way the user wanted to edit it. And yeah, that's about how the most of the database functionality works in any idevSpot script. Actually, like you'll see, this is the add listings page, but if you go and you look at the add users page, it's the exact same format. They all have their controller file up at the top, and yeah, it all just works the same. The important thing here is the name of the fields, because those will create the database field names in exactly the same way, or by exactly the same name. What else we got? Categories system is found here, and basically this is an unlimited category system, sort of, so you can create subcategories as many levels deep as you want to, and that's basically just done by creating a category name, and that's the top level right there. So if I want to create a sub level, I actually click here, and now I can see everything inside of test, and I'll test sub or whatever the case may be. And if you want to edit a category, you just click the name of the category itself, or sorry, actually you click the little pencil icon, and that will open up the category that you're editing. And this works also with the query.php file, so it's just using the same sort of routine here with the update and the insert and the ID number and all that sort of stuff. Every page will have a general, a settings page, and the settings that are applied here can be accessed at any time throughout the rest of the script with the echo row xxx and then the field name. So if you ever want to print out, for example, the email, or let's say the owner's name, say you want to print it on an email, out in an email that gets sent, or on the detail page, or anywhere really, that variable is always row xxx, and then the name of whatever the field is. So that's just a quick shortcut, how to access all the setting variables instead of having to do a MySQL select from where settings equals 1 each and every single time. It just automatically automatically does that in the inc global file. What else? The style sheet system what it actually, I have two options here. There's the local style sheets that are found in the styles directory, and this is where the user can copy and paste the example style sheet and create their own style templates. As far as the script itself goes, there are a couple of tables to maintain the overall structure, but the rest of it is all CSS, and the table style is CSS as well. So pretty much everything actually can be controlled by just this one CSS sheet. Or yeah, what was I gonna mention here? Oh yeah, okay. So basically, yeah, the user can copy and paste the style sheet, upload it to the style directory, give it whatever name they want, and then they can set the template here. What you see down here are remote styles. So these are hosted on the idevSpot server, and basically if I want to add more templates to that to the idevSpot folder, which holds the templates, then they will appear here for the user to choose from. And this just kind of uses a file get contents and loads what's remotely on the idevSpot server. Right, okay, so all idevSpot scripts are integrated with PayPal, and actually PayPal is the only e-commerce processor that idevSpot scripts use. I'd like to add some more eventually, but I haven't gotten around to it yet because PayPal works pretty good and I have so many other things to do. But what you will find in every single e-commerce enabled idevSpot script is a IPN file. Now, if you're familiar with IPN, it is PayPal's instant payment notification system. So basically, whenever a sale happens, the IPN file gets some information sent to it by PayPal, which contains information about the sale, such as the buyer's PayPal email address, which item was purchased, the buyer's, the amount of the item, and a bunch of other things, right? So what this section here, that's just some PayPal default code to connect to work with their IPN system, and then the rest of the script starts down here. I include the database file, the global file, and the send mail file, a few other things, and then basically this is the one of the digital store scripts. All this does is it inserts items into the orders database for the sales record, and it creates a user if one doesn't already exist, and it sends the user an email for how to download their item which they just purchased. But yeah, if there's any sort of e-commerce functions via PayPal, the sales information will post to this script when the buyer makes a purchase. So anything you might need to handle post-purchase from PayPal would be adjusted in the IPN script. And this one's called store IPN. Most of them are just called IPN.php, but they're usually pretty easily labeled. The other thing is, when dealing with PayPal, for example, the order page here uses a PayPal button form code, which is the original style of button form code, which is all really easy to edit because all of the sales data is just in this form right here. With these are PayPal variables, but the part I wanted to point out was the notify URL. This points to the IPN script, which is in this case store IPN.php, and the rest of this XYZ is affiliate ID. That's for idev affiliates integration, and this is the CPAS stuff that is for the coupon code discounts, I believe. It's been a while since I worked on this script, but yeah, the every single idevSpot script, when it comes time for the e-commerce part, will use a form that is something like this. And oh yeah, as you can see here, I mentioned the row XXX variables. So here I'm using row XXX order title, and that's just accessing the settings information for the order page title, and that's just a convenient way to access some of the settings data, because you will note that every idevSpot script has the same sort of general settings area. The ones that need a locations editor will have that. The ones which need a category editor will have that, and so on. What else can I show here? Many of these scripts have a front end, which is similar to the back end, to the admin panel functions, but it's meant for a user. So if I'm a user and I want to submit my business listing to whatever directory I'm looking at, what I would do is I'd go to add listings, and I'm actually already logged in here. I'm going to show what happens when I'm not logged in, because if you're a brand new user coming to the website, it's like, okay, do you have a username password? No, so you register instead and just create a really quick account and then go ahead and log in. So now the user could add a listing, for example. So I'm just going to show how that works. And basically this page here, as you can see, it's called account add. If you want to edit it, it's accountadd.php, and it'll be in the directory that you're in currently. So the user would go ahead and submit its listing information, and if you wanted to add fields to the user end of the experience, it works in exactly the same way as the admin panel. Actually, a lot of times what I do is I'll just copy and paste the admin panel like form fields over to the user end, because they work in the same way, so they're pretty interchangeable. And of course the user has a My Listings sort of section in the same way that the admin panel does, or My Items if they're using the digital mall, or My Advertisements if they're using text script, or whatever the case may be. All the user end control panels function the same. So this, in this case, the user would click My Listings, and if they want to edit their listing, as you can see up here, it uses the same sort of routine. So qt equals update, and this page has the controller form field in the same way that the admin panel also had that, and the ID, of course, and all that sort of stuff. So the admin panel and the user end panel work the same. This points to a user end query.php. It doesn't point to the library query. It points to a just query.php in its same directory. So there's two distinct query files. One is for the admin panel and one is for the user panel. And the difference is the authentication system and some security features that are written into the user end query files to prevent mischief, basically. What else? Let's see. Yeah, that might be a pretty good start. Let's see what other files we got here we can look at. So add coupons, add photos, cart template, stuff like this. The settings page itself, what it does is it inserts the settings data into the settings table with the ID number of 1. So basically it just updates row number 1 in the settings table, and it'll just refresh the page once it's done an update. So there's only one row ever in the settings table to call from. Yeah, I mean, what else can I tell you? There's a few. Okay, yeah, the update file. So this actually is run every single time the user refreshes the page in the admin panel. So, if I click add listing or manage listing or anything, that update file is hit and accessed every single time. And basically what I use this for is adding data to the script that doesn't get added automatically during installation. Oh, and that's another thing, is during installation nothing really needs to happen. All that happens is that a settings table is created and a users table and a couple other default sort of necessary tables, And if you want to go ahead and create more tables in your database that aren't created with a form, like the add listings page, because actually you don't need to create tables that are created with a form initially. But if you need to create a table, say like an orders page or an orders table that isn't going to be created with a form from the admin panel, then you would do it in the admin update page. And basically this is, just copy and paste this code, create table if not exists, alter table, blah, 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 add whatever form field stuff you want there. Admittedly, this is not the fastest, most efficient, streamlined way, but based on how fast MySQL runs, it's not really an issue. So yeah, if I wanted to create a new table, I would just, add it in here and use it for whatever reason, and as soon as the user visits any page of their admin panel, that new data will get added, new table will get created, or whatever the case may be. Category icons is used for uploading category icons if the user wants to add icons to their categories. It's not really used that much. Include file, the global file, that's kind of important. The global file is always loaded. It's just an included page on almost every, if not every, page of idevSpot scripts. This up here is just squelching some Windows Server errors that come because I haven't included the little, whatever the little single quotes in some of my variables. So I just squelch squelch Windows errors for now. Eventually, I'll probably fix that, but it's not really an issue. So, script title, version, and here's the SQL XXX that is just always access to always have the settings data available in the XXX variable. A lot of the stuff isn't really important. This just controls like the footer information, some currency symbol information. Okay, so here is the language file selection, and probably none of this will ever need to be changed. Yeah, actually probably a lot of this won't need to be changed, but if you need to access the same variable throughout the rest of the idevSpot scripts, you can put it into the global file, and this global file is always included. MySQL, which actually doesn't usually get written except until the installer writes it. There is a manual configuration available for anybody who has issues with the automatic installer, which is very, very rare, considering that you don't even really need to make files writable anymore on servers. Install directory just installs the script. For the most part, once the script is installed, you'll probably want to delete the install directory, because if it's still sitting up there, it could be used to overwrite installation values and basically just disconnect the script from the database, which is not a problem, but the database needs to be the MySQL file needs to be reconfigured if that happens. So once install is done, delete install file. The lang file holds all the languages. Okay, so yeah, the library directory, actually the authorized file here, this is used by the front end of all the idevSpot scripts. Basically just does a session username password setup. The authorized form admin panel, or sorry, authorized form admin, this is the admin panel login and probably won't ever need to be changed. Category header, what this actually does is it holds the function that does this up here. So it'll basically determine which directory the user is browsing and provide links to go back to the top or to a sub-level category and that sort of thing. CP logout is just a logout script for the admin panel. The delete file will delete stuff. Basically, accessed here, and what all the delete options, all the delete functions have is confirmation. So yes delete, no take me back. And if they yes delete, then it'll hit the delete file, if they no take me back, it'll just go back. The fi protect file does a few things, like it prevents quite a bit of mischief. So if there's if the user is hacking around with the URL string and adding like ..// to try to access files outside of the root in the page variable, then it'll just kill the script. It'll kill the script in a few situations for like abuse attempts. GD library file, yeah, it's just for image resizing. The jump box is the category selection system. The MR is the mod rewrite. htaccess search engine optimization functions. Price, yeah, I think that just formats the price for something somewhere, I forget now. Sendmail includes the sendmail function. Oh, session save path. So in some cases where the user isn't able to maintain a session for some reason, it's because they need to set their session save path. And if they're not able to sign in, basically this will just be a function down here, unable to stay signed in, click here, and this is the session save path help file, and they'll just need to copy and paste that line into their session save path file into the right directory. So this is just an issue that certain servers have. Style directory holds style sheets. I've been putting the images inside the style sheet directory as well. Sorry, actually maybe the authorized file for the front end was actually in this directory, and I guess the authorized file for the min panel is up here. So that was a kind of a that wasn't quite correct when I said that. Custom header, custom footer. These are blank files that are loaded just before and just after the header.php and footer.php files. So if the user wants to just add their own custom header and footer without screwing around with the CSS and just wants to put it into the HTML, this is an easy way to do it, because those empty files are just loaded up. Of course, I haven't documented this feature and nobody knows about it, but it is possible to do if anybody wants to do it. Yeah, on most of the scripts, the main page, which opens up like either the store items or the business listings or whatever the case may be, we'll call detail. Some various other things here, which I will not talk about right now. The login script, login, login form, logout, and resend password and register. These are all the same from script to script to script, just well, pretty much the same. There might be one or two exceptions, like the affiliate might be called something slightly different, but for the most part those are exactly the same. Navcat, navcart, this in this case is for the shopping cart features. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of things here, but I think that should at least give an idea of the structure, the overall structure behind how these scripts, idevSpot scripts, work. Some of them have been rigged to use CK editor, some of them have not yet been, which is just a fancier editor. Yeah, okay, well, good enough for now, I guess.